Whenever I do a positive video on Tower of Fantasy, I get called out by haters for supporting a trash game. Whenever I do a negative video on Tower of Fantasy, I get called out by the community for being a hater myself. It seems as though, regardless of whether or not I push out a positive or negative video, I end up getting hate from one side of the community. And today's video is going to anger people of both affiliations. Before we go any further, I just want to take a moment here to thank all of the absolute chads and chadettes that support this channel via Patreon. You're all freaking legends. Seriously, each and every single one of you. I would offer to give each of you a kiss, but I suffer from severe intimacy issues. Additionally, if you want to stay up to date with all the latest MMO gacha and gaming news, take a second here to follow Mrs. Stix and I over on Twitter. We tweet daily. So let's start off with the good news first, because there is much less good than bad. The good news is Tower Fantasy's earnings for its first month of global release have been revealed. These are specifically pertaining to Android and iOS devices as opposed to PC as well. Disregarding the PC earnings, Tower Fantasy across iOS and Android devices has made $26 million. That is a very large sum of money, and admittedly a very healthy initial month of earnings, unless of course you compare it to Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds, which is also a cross-platform anime MMO that happened to make $100 million in a mere 11 days, or Diablo Immortal, which managed to pull in $49 million in its first month, or Odin Valhalla Rising, which went on to eclipse the $26 million earned from Tower Fantasy with a monumental $85 million as well, and this was exclusive to South Korea. This was disregarding the rest of the world. So $26 million is admittedly higher than almost any other gacha released this year, but at the same time, it falls lower than every other cross-platform MMO that has released since 2020. Grand Saga, Odin Valhalla Rising, Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds, with Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds actually being pretty much all but dead already. And I know this in specific is going to upset some people because they believed that Tower Fantasy was going to be direct competition for Genshin Impact, but Genshin Impact over the same month managed to pull in almost $100 million. Genshin Impact, for reference, when it released within its first month alone, went on to garner over $200 million. I dare say these are not even in the same weight bracket. So, good news, not so good news, and here's the bad news. Earlier this year, Tower Fantasy's dev studio was accused of plagiarism, of theft. I did an expose on this very issue. They made a public apology to the artist that they plagiarized. They blamed the team that was responsible for stealing assets from Honkai Impact. But as of 2 days ago, Tower Fantasy's new event has ripped the currency that is present in Fate Grand Order. Fate Grand Order being one of the most popular gacha games in the world. Not only did they steal assets from Honkai Impact, not only did they plagiarize their trailers, but after publicly issuing several different apologies and claiming that they were not responsible for this, they go ahead and they do it again. At this juncture, are we even really surprised? How can people continue to defend the studio when they continue to make the same mistake? Sure, you might defend the hackers, you might defend the exploiters, the abusers, but how can you defend theft and plagiarism? Looking at the comments, they're actually kind of amusing. At this point, it looks like it's easier to find something that Tower Fantasy didn't copy from somewhere else. I really can't understand why they have to do this. A single emblem like this shouldn't be costly to develop, and they probably didn't lack any money, so why are they doing this? Literally copied the most iconic currency in gacha gaming and expected people to not notice it. Alright, so maybe stealing from Hoyo wasn't the smartest idea. Any new ideas? No more stealing? Any good new ideas? Steal from another company? Glorious. Let's make sure to steal from an obscure one this time. Let's see. This fake Grand Order game is pretty old. Surely that means it's obscure, right? I am genuinely curious to see people defend this down in the comments below. Now, for those of you that aren't interested in tower fantasy for whatever reason, I have on screen right now 2 different videos. One featuring every upcoming gacha game slated to release over the course of this month in September, and 2, a list of the most populated gacha games that everyone around the world is playing and that you subsequently should be playing as well.